to, yeah, he started. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for helping me. Yeah. Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya on a Saturday morning. It's a great honor to have the association of Sri Balaji Prabhu. So today we'll be just continuing with the fifth canto, 25th chapter, which actually speaks about the glories of Ananta, Lord Ananta. So, and today today actually Prabhu will be covering verses 14 and 15. Prabhu, over to you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Jaya Ram.
Prabhu, your voice is breaking.
Yes, Prabhuji?
Your voice was breaking.
Is it better?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodhana Braja Jana Yashodhana Braja Jana Yamunati Vanacharya Vanacharya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodhana Braja Jana Yashodhana Braja Jana Yamunati Vanacharya Vanacharya Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Prabhu, sorry to interrupt, but your
Yes,
voice
sir.
is breaking. Your voice is still breaking.
It could be the
Just have to.
network.
Okay, okay.
It
Good,
could be
but
the
no,
network.
but your video, everything is perfect. It's only breaking in between. Just
Yeah, maybe I'll stop the video for some time. Maybe.
okay. I'll see the difference, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Rama,
But still breaking.
Rama Rama, Hare Jai Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Radha Jai Radha Vinoda Radha Vinoda Radha Jai Jagannath Jai Baladeva Subhadra Mai Jaya Sudarshana Jaya Gaura Sundar Jaya Nityananda Natavara Gaura Sundar Jaya Nityananda Natavara Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Nitai Gaur Haribol 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 Nitai Gaur Hari Jai Vishnupada Superiorjacharya Shrotra Divine Zabhicharnavind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Vishnupada Paramam Superiorjacharya Shrotra Divine Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामा श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से बोलो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण। Is it a little better, Prabhuji? Is it okay? Or should I continue? Or I can rejoin if you want.
Now it's okay
It's okay.
because
Okay.
because
We'll continue.
like
Yeah, we'll
even
continue.
no, I think it has nothing to do with the video because even after the video you turned off, you
Mm-hmm.
still had the same thing coming. So maybe I think it's still fine. You can try with the video on.
Okay. Okay, I'll
Yeah, we
try.
will see.
Let's
Yeah, sure,
continue. Let's
sure.
continue.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tado Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Welcome all for the Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Today morning we are reading from Canto 5, Chapter 25, Text 14 and 15. And these are all proses. So text. These are the last two shlokas of this beautiful chapter, which is titled "The Glories of Lord Ananta." Text 14. एताय एव नृभिर् उपगन्तव्य गतायो यथा कर्म विनिर्मिता यतोपदेशम् अनुवर्णिताः कामान् कामयमानयि. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Prabhu, you can share the shloka if you want.
Sure, Prabhu.
Oh. Translation. My dear King, as I heard of it from my spiritual master, I have fully described to you the creation of this material world according to the fruitive activities and desires of the conditioned souls. Those conditioned souls who are full of material desires achieve various situations in different planetary systems, and in this way, they live within this material creation. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada writes, in this regard, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings, Anadi karma phale padi bhavarnava jale taribarena dekhi upaya. My Lord, I do not know when I commenced my material life, but I can certainly experience that I have fallen in the deep oceans of nations. Now I can also see that there is no other way to get out of it than to take shelter of your lotus feet. Similarly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offers the following prayer. Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitamam vishame bhavam budho kripaya tava pada pankaja sthita dhuli sadrisham vichintaya. My dear Lord, son of Nanda Maharaja, I am your eternal servant. Somehow or other, I have fallen into this ocean of nations. Kindly, therefore, save me from this horrible condition of materialistic life. Text 15. एतावति राजन् पुंसा प्रवृत्तिलक्षणस्य धर्मस्य विपाकगतया उचावचा विशादृश यथा प्रश्नं व्याचक्य किम अन्यत् कथयामीति. Translation. My dear king, I have thus described how people generally act according to the different desires and, as a result, get different types of bodies in higher or lower planets. You inquired of these things from me, and I have explained to you whatever I have heard from authorities. What shall I speak of now? Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the fifth canto, 25th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled The Glories of Lord Ananta. ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं वन्दे श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं समगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादां सगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितां च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरदिशे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत श्री राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं गायति यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्री गुरुदीनतारिणं परमानंद माधव श्री चैतन्येश्वर हरे कृष्णा again welcome all to this Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya sessions. Today we read from Canto 5, chapter 25, text 14 and 15. They're the last two shlokas. Before that, before we get into these shlokas, I want to really thank Ms. Giri Sankarshan people to giving me this opportunity so that I can glorify the Lord, His devotees, and wonderfully, who none other than Lord Ananta himself, and also so that I can purify myself. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. So today, since we are at the end of 14th and the end of this particular chapter with the two shlokas, 14th and 15th, I thought, why not summarize the glories of Lord Ananta, which will help us to meditate on those glories of Lord and the qualities of Lord Ananta, and also so that it helps us progress also, and also hear the glories of Lord Ananta. By that, the Lord also will be pleased, and we also can get benefited. So that was the idea, primarily because in we all know that shloka, which is from Canto 1, chapter 6, text 34, which is the concluding verse or the essence of the discussions between Narad Muni and Vyasadeva, his disciple, when Vyasadeva was in a pretty despondent situation. We all are in a despondent situation, whether we agree or disagree. But this particular shloka is mentioned as the conclusion of that discussion where Narad Muni gives hope and directions to Vyasadeva. And he mentions in that particular shloka, it is from Canto 1, chapter 6, text 34, where he says, Etadhi dhya. I'll just chant the shloka. Yeah. Etadhi atura chittana matra sparsha chayamu bhava sindhu plava drishto hari charya anuvarnam. So he says, and Narad Muni in the Srila Prabhupada in the translation tells us what Narad Muni is actually telling us, conveys that. He says, Narad Muni says, it is personally experienced by me that those who are always full of cares and anxieties due to desiring contact of the senses with their objects can cross the ocean of nations on a most suitable boat, that is Bhava Sindhu Plava Drishto, which is that boat, the constant chanting of the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead. That is on the last line, we says, Hari Charya Anuvarnana. So this particular shloka, very beautiful shloka, which gives us the problem statement, the reason of that problem, and the solution to that problem. So everything in a full package in one particular shloka. The problem is that we are always in anxieties. Okay. The reason is matra sparsha chaya muhu. That is our constant endeavor to get connected, our sense objects getting connected with those sense gratification. Yeah, the senses. And so that is the problem. That is the root cause of that. And the solution is, and there is only one boat. The solution is one boat. That is Bhava Sindhu Plavadruto. And that boat, he says, Narad Muni says, Hari Charya Anuvarnanam, which means Hari is the Lord, Charya. Charya means the activities. We say Dinacharya, that is the activities. Anuvarnana means always keep on chanting the transcendental activities or the pastimes of the Lord. So that is the only thing that we should do. Don't worry about all the anxieties and all. The only activity that we have to do this Hari Charya Anuvarana. So we'll try to follow that same the objective or the goal that Srila Narada is given by again meditating on the qualities of the Lord of Lord Anantadev, and towards the end we'll also speak about the key aspect that Prabhupada brings out in these two shlokas, where Prabhupada explains very beautifully what Shukadeva Goswami is telling to Parikshit Maharaj, that I've explained to you, and this is the reason why what I've explained. That is. So some of the qualities, you may not be able to touch upon all the qualities. There are unlimited qualities of Lord Anantadev. But some of the qualities, for example, the first one, and these are all referenced from the earlier shlokas. So the first one, which is, I think, from chapter 6, it says, Lord Anantadev controls anger. Now, in the earlier shlokas, it is mentioned that the Lord Anantadev, the Anantadev resides in below Patala. It is also mentioned the distance. It is like 40,000 miles below the Patala, Lord resides, and on his hood, all the universes are there, which is almost in the form of a mustard seed. So, Lord Anantadev controls his anger. Now, what is the main mission of Anantadev is, with the help of Lord Shiva, his main objective or main, how do you say, the main mission of Lord Anantadev is to dissolve the creation. But at the same time, it is also mentioned that he checks his anger and intolerance. Now, why he does that? If you try to understand that, we all know that we have, due to envy or due to the enjoying mentality of all the jivas, they have come down to this material world. And who has created this material world? The Lord Himself has created this facility in the form of this universe or a material world, so that we enjoy, but at the same time we have to ensure we have this connection to the Lord also. That is the most important piece. But most of the time, many jivas forget that, and they just use that first part, which is the enjoyment part, but not the second part, that along with that we have to have a connection established. But what happens is enjoyment and the sufferings and pains and keep on repeating the cycle. So, but this angers Anantadev. That is what was mentioned. But what happens is he kind of tolerates. He's tolerating us. But yes, there is a point when the tolerance exceeds, and Anantadev slightly shows his anger in the form of annihilation. It is said that the fire comes out of the mouth from the Lord, and when the annihilation happens, when the pralaya comes, it means the sun is in its full brightness. So the heat from the top and the heat from the below, that is how the whole universe is. Now, it is also said that it gets burned in the form of how a cow dung ball will burn. In that form, everything gets burned. So Lord Ananta is very merciful. He tolerates us. He's very kind. But as per his mission, sometimes he gets angry. The pralaya happens, everything gets annihilated. But what happens is, as all the jiva goes back, gets into Vishnu, into the pores of Vishnu, but when they come back, the desires are still there. Yeah, and then again the birth and death cycle continues. Okay, but Anantadev is very merciful, is what we have to understand, and especially how the mercy is flown is through Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada has amplified this mercy, this kindness and the compassion that Anantadev has. Srila Prabhupada has amplified that in the form of giving us all this entire package. Srila Prabhupada has made for us so simple and made it accessible to all of us, and also all of the entire the world here, the material world. But some make the best out of it, and some do not. Right? We are at least fortunate enough to get connected with this movement, and trying to put some small endeavors and steps towards ensuring that Anantadev is more merciful on us and does not he tolerates us. Yeah, and we try to please him. That's the most important part. Now, the second quality of Anantadev is he pleases his associates. Now, in I think it's seventh shloka, it is mentioned that when the demigods, what they do is they please Anantadev. How they please is by constantly offering in prayers. That is, and we all know that, whenever, even when we do dandavats, whenever we enter the temple, whenever we are in front of the altar, we offer prayers to the Lord. Okay, so demigods all please Anantadev by offering prayers to him, and how when he gets pleased, when he is pleased, he displays that pleasantness, or by giving, by his graceful words. So that is how he reciprocates. Okay, that's the second one. The third one is very beautifully described, is his beauty. Anantadev's beauty is described in, I think it's in the eighth shloka, eighth shloka, where it is mentioned how he wears only one earring. Nowadays it's a fashion, but it's been Anantadev already has this trend going on. So he wears only one earring, and it's mentioned he has his plow on his shoulder. Okay, um, that is the most symbolic thing of Balramji or Anantadev. And it is also mentioned he has well-placed arms, beautiful jewelry around it, and also golden belt around his waist. And he has a beautiful Vaijayanti garland around his neck, and an ever-fresh tulasi around his neck. So this is a way how Anantadev's beauty is described. Okay, this is the third beautiful quality of Lord Anantadev. And the next one, okay, next one you can also call it as a falashruti of hearing the glories of Lord Anantadev. So there are three things beautifully mentioned in that particular shloka. I think it is the 10th shloka, where it is mentioned that, uh, for people, for all people, devotees, non-devotees, whoever it is, who hears his glories. Basically, the benefit of meditating on Anantadev, there are three major benefits. Yeah. First one, it is mentioned that enters the core of their hearts. The glories enters the core of their hearts. The second one, it is mentioned, once it enters the core of their hearts, it vanquishes the contamination which is present in the heart, which is created by the three modes of nature. This is the second benefit. And the third most important benefit, it is mentioned, it cuts the knot of ignorance. And how this knot, which is so tight, that this is so tied tightly because of the impressions of our past karmas, impressions of our past actions, the reactions of that. This the knots are such tight, tightly tied, um, since time immemorial. It's not like one janma or two janma, from the past many lifetimes that we have had. That hridaya granthi, when the glories enter the hearts, when we hear the glories of Lord Anantadev, it enters in the core of our hearts, and in there it vanquishes the contamination which is there with three modes, and cuts the knot of ignorance which has been tied tightly because of the past impressions, the past reactions that we have had. Okay. And then it is also mentioned that none other than Narad Muni, with his Tumburu, is glorifying in when he goes to Lord Brahmadev, he glorifies Lord Ananta. He doesn't get tired glorifying the Lord Ananta. So that way, we also have to, as Prabhupada Unagas, how Prabhupada glorified the Lord in each of how do I say, Hmm. Each of the shlokas, each translation, or each purport, when Prabhupada never tires to glorify the Lord. Similarly, for us also, Hari Charya Anuvarna. We also have to, whatever possible, whenever possible, just glorify the Lord, especially the Lord's devotees like Lord Ananta. Okay, Narad Muni is exemplifying that particular aspect to us, that they all do that. Okay. And we also heard that, these are the three benefits that happen when we hear or glorify the Lord. Um, and Srila Prabhupada also mentions in the purport of the particular shloka that since we all belong to the Gaudiya Sampradaya, which is actually coming, which is actually stemming from the Brahma, from Lord Brahma himself. So who we also get benefited. So see how it works. Since we are all connected to the parampara, you know, and in the parampara, the activities are Haricharya Anuvarnanam. So whenever we also do that, that is how we get benefited also. And none other than by glorifying the activities of Lord Anantadev, which helps us to remove the accumulated contamination. So that is a fourth quality that we can try to imbibe. The fifth one, it is mentioned that the glories of his name. Okay, and it is mentioned that the glories of the name are such powerful that even when a sinful person chants his name after hearing it, or someone chants suddenly, or someone chants out of suffering, or even if someone chants in a joking mood, becomes purified. And it is mentioned, if someone hears all the above, all these persons who are chanting in whatever state they are, whether they are a sinful person who has just heard the name and repeats it, or if someone chants suddenly or out of suffering or in a joking mood, someone who hears that also, all the above, is also freed of all sins. Such is the glory of the holy name. Okay. Now, apart from all these qualities, the most important quality of Lord Anantadev is his mood of serving the Lord. Okay, we have all heard how Lord Balram expands in such a way to accommodate the pastimes of Krishna. We all know that. So in this case, when we look at Anantadev, okay, the first and most striking thing in his mood of serving the Lord, which comes is he takes the form of a bed. That is where the Lord Vishnu lies in a Shayana form, Ananta Shayana form. So he takes the form of a bed, a very cozy bed for the Lord. And it is mentioned by some acharyas that Lord feels extremely comfortable when the Lord reclines on this beautiful cozy bed, and to the fact that how the seva has to be done. The Anantadev adjusts himself whenever the Lord moves. It is said, we all know that when Chaturmasya the Lord goes to Nidra, he moves a little bit. So at that time, the Anantadev adjusts to the contours of the Lord. It's such a beautiful seva it is. And it is and it's also said that it's on the ocean of milk, right? So the milk has foam. You know, it is the foam, the Anantadev's body to facilitate, to give comfort to the Lord, becomes softer than the foam of the milk. Such a beautiful way of serving the Lord. Okay, and this particular being a bed of the Lord is such a very intimate and physically close kind of seva, which is also required by the Lord. So one thing which we can understand from this is how to serve. Okay. The learning from this particular aspect is from Anantadev is how we should serve. There is a very beautiful shloka in Canto 9, chapter 1844. We just chant that shloka, very beautiful shloka. Okay, this is from I think Ranti Dev's pastime. So the shloka says, Uttamas chintitam kuryat, prokta karitu madhyamaha, adamo ashraddhaya kuryat, akarto charitam pituhu. So I'll read the translation by Srila Prabhupada. So it says, a son who acts by anticipating what his father wants to do is first class. Just by, we all know the example, we have heard the example of His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. It is said that even if Prabhupada, whenever Prabhupada looks at Maharaj, he knows what Prabhupada wants, he will do that. Even if it is a very menial thing, like opening a window or giving him a glass of water. So it is said, a son who acts by anticipating, but just by looking, even before his master tells him, the servant should act. And act in such a way that that is exactly what the master wants. That is the Uttama type of seva. Okay, that is first class seva. The second class is one who acts upon obviously receiving his father's order. So when one gets that instruction, following that instruction to the last point, the minute detail, that's very important. Whenever we are assigned a seva, we may not be at the some are, but we may not be at the first class level, the Uttama level. Whenever we are at the, obviously all can be at the Madhyama level, where whenever there is an order received, whenever there is an instruction provided either by our spiritual master, our Shiksha gurus, or our seniors, we have to ensure that we understand the seva, the instruction to the detail, to the minutest detail, so that we can execute it properly. Okay. Otherwise, again, even if you don't execute, the endeavor itself is good. But our endeavor should not be to should be to that we ensure that seva is done to the core 100% or maybe 200%, not to that point that is I've done something. I mean, even if I do, I just endeavor to do that. My spiritual master will be happy, my Shiksha Guru will be happy, or my senior will be happy. No, that is not the thing. Our endeavor should be to complete it 100% or 200%. That is the endeavor that we should have. So that is the Madhyama level, the second class. And the third class is that, um, one who executes the seva. The third class is not desirable, but either ways it is done. One who executes father order irreverentially without any, you know, how do I say, without any faith, but he still does that. Chalo bola hai, to let's me do it. So that way. But that is not, and it is mentioned in the shloka that, but a son, the most, the most the fallen thing is a son, if he refuses father's order, is like his father's stool. Okay. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada, in that particular shloka, 9:1844, yeah, 9:1844, Prabhupada mentions about this particular last that he says, one Indian poet has spoken of Putra and Mutra. Putra means son and Mutra means urine. Very gross, but then see how what the message Prabhupada is actually giving to all us. That both the sun and urine come from the same genitals. If a son is an obedient devotee of the Lord, he's called Putra or a real son. Otherwise, if he is not learned and is not a devotee, a son is nothing better than urine. Gross, but very clear what Prabhupada is expecting from all of us, especially from parents. Okay. So this very wonderful shloka, we all can meditate upon this in terms of how Anantadev serves the Lord. That is the mood of serving the Lord. Okay. Um, this is the sixth one. The seventh one is wherever, uh, it said, wherever the Lord's glories are sung, victory is guaranteed. And what Anantadev does nothing but is glorify the Lord with his 1,000 mouths. And he doesn't tire because the glories are unlimited, and he is not tired because he unlimitedly keeps on glorifying. That is the only thing that is just you glorify the Lord. I was listening to one class which was given by His Holiness Bhakti Vinod Swami Maharaj. It was in Radha Parthasarathi Temple in New Delhi, somewhere during the Corona time only. Very beautiful class about Ananta Shesha's glories. And he mentioned a very beautiful incident that had happened. So he was talking about, he was referring to the Ananta Padmanabh temple. Most of us would have gone there. Uh, this was many years back, Maharaj was mentioning that they wanted to install the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the temple. But Maharaj was telling that there was a huge protest by the priest or the devotees inside the temple. What they were asking is, Maharaj is saying, they're asking is, give us proof that Mahaprabhu's Lord. He could be a saint, but he's not Lord himself. So we need proof. So that we then only you can't install any saints' feet inside the temple. So we need proof. To the extent the Maharaj said, we went to the king of Travancore, who was overseeing all the activities of the temple. They all went to them, pleading that, please allow us to install the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He also did not allow because he said, I don't have much control. In Kerala, political parties are involved in every stages. You know, uh, Maharaj was telling that during that time, and I don't know, maybe now also, there are many political parties who have their offices in and around the temple. such is the state of that particular state. Okay, so all of them together did not allow. Maharaj said, we just kept doing kirtan. They just simply glorified Ananta. Somebody told that, you please glorify the Lord, Lord Anantadev. Okay. So they did nothing but just kirtan wherever they were allowed to sit, or whatever. They just did kirtan and glorified Ananta Padmanabha. You will be surprised to hear that finally the king intervened and agreed, allowed them to install the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Maharaj is telling that, we, Maharaj is telling in a very humble mood that, they felt that, we just go to them, request permission. I know we can install, we can do whatever we want. Not like that, but yeah, we can do what we want. But Maharaj said we had to qualify ourselves. We had to show that we qualify, we are qualified to do that act. And how Maharaj was saying that is how, when we glorify the Lord, when we do kirtan, when we glorify Ananta Padmanabh, the Lord, as Paramatma, gives them the intelligence of, and then by that we qualify ourselves, and the Lord intervenes and gets things done through whatever instruments or through whoever is there. Such is the beauty of glorifying the Lord and his Lord's devotees. Okay, this is a very wonderful example. It is a very touching example which Maharaj, in a very humble mood, he mentioned this particular aspect, that we should always try to qualify ourselves in whatever act, whatever seva or something we want to do. Okay. And one of the last qualities that I'm going to discuss is, as I also mentioned earlier, Anantadev's mission is he's responsible for destruction along with Lord Shiva. It is mentioned how it is done in the shlokas also. So, uh, for us, again, the same point comes up here that, the pralaya can happen anytime. But basically, Anantadev is kind of is so compassionate and so kind on us that, he does not release his anger uh, immediately. He kinds of tolerates, gives us some chance that, yes, at least now they will understand, because they are, with all the tapatraya that we go through, they might still understand and get connected to the Lord. But eventually, if that doesn't happen, and we all know that, how in Bhagavatam it is mentioned how Kali Yuga will progress. Yeah. And you already have seen, if you all are going through the news, we see how what kind of degradation is already happening, and to what are the states in different countries, how people are trying to just annihilate. I was just wondering, when the words that are used in the news, that, it's a genocide or an ethnic cleansing. I mean, again, these are all. I mean, if we look at the pralaya, that is also a cleansing kind of an act, and we being the amsha, we use it. People are using it in a very wrong manner. They feel they want, in that controllership attitude or the thought process quality, they're trying to do ethnic cleansing and destroy all others. We all, I don't have to tell about the news, but it's all in the news. But Anantadev releases anger. He releases his anger. He has to do that because that is how the Lord has created this particular system of the process. So that, it gets cleansed, it gets destructed, and the new life has to come up. But unfortunately, as I said, um, jivas again have those desires, and they come back and again do the same thing, and again it has to happen. Okay. Now, the learning here is, especially from an anger perspective, um, it is a difficult one to control. I mean, even I have some troubles, getting the control over anger thing, right? So the learning is that where necessary, we can get angry. All other times we should constantly control our anger. That is what we should try and imbibe as a quality, as a not as a quality, or as an attitude, or as part of a lifestyle. Wherever necessary, obviously we have to get angry. I mean, if definitely when we see that, all Vaishnavas, if some Vaishnava is getting into trouble, definitely have to show that when Vaishnavas are getting trouble. That is the whole purpose. But not like, as and when required, or whenever required, we just go and showcase our anger. We have to control our anger. Yes, it has to be displayed, but at a very in a very controlled manner. Okay, so ideally, all these qualities that Anantadev is displaying, we all have that in a little amsha quality, but it's basically natural for us to have some of this, all these qualities in a very. Uh, it says that qualitatively we are equal to the Lord, but quantitatively we are not. Okay, so which means that we are naturally situated in this mode. If I talk about the service mode, that is one thing which Anantadev exemplifies and amplifies basically. So if it is about service, we all have that quality. It's just a matter of the quantity. Yeah. So our endeavor should be to improve that quantitatively also in terms of services, and try to follow in the paths of Anantadev, who exemplifies this seva bhav, in the mood of a servitor to the Lord, and pleases the Lord. Yeah. So these are some of the qualities that I wanted to meditate upon, so that since we are at the end of the chapter, we could probably just relook at. So some of these 8 qualities we just discussed. Apart from that, there is a very beautiful point that Srila Prabhupada makes in this two shlokas, text 14 and 15. He has repeated that particular aspect of desires. Okay. When I was trying to search about, basically, this point is well known to all of us, that, and we all know that particular pastime where there was this devotee who was asking Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, what is that one thing that I have to nurture, I have to, build in myself? Prabhupada just mentioned this particular word, that desire. So desire is the only thing that we have to, spiritual desires, basically, we have to cultivate. And I was just, when I was looking at what to kind of present, I found 3 very beautiful so, uh, points from different aspects. Now I just read out those, very beautiful, we can to meditate upon. Okay, the first one is from the book Chant and Be Happy, especially from chapter 8, which is the title of the chapter 8 is The Benefits of Chanting. I just have one paragraph from that particular chapter. So I'll just read out what Prabhupada is writing in that particular paragraph. Prabhupada writes, liberation from the cycle of samsara as it is called, or the endless wheel of birth and death, is possible if we free our consciousness from material desires. Then Prabhupada writes, by chanting Hare Krishna, we revive the soul's natural spiritual desires as well as our awareness of our true identity. Prabhupada very beautifully in this particular line, Prabhupada says, by chanting Hare Krishna, we revive. What do we revive? Our connection, definitely, but most important, we revive the soul's natural spiritual desires as well as our awareness of our true identity. This is the benefit of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. And then Prabhupada writes further, just as it is the nature of the body to be attracted to sense gratification, so it is the nature of the soul to be attracted to God. Chanting awakens our original God consciousness and our desire to serve and associate with Him. By this simple change in consciousness, we can transcend the cycle of reincarnation. Very beautiful points, with small paragraph, but very strong and solidly getting across the point that chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra does these wonderful benefits to all of us. Yeah. Then the second point, which I found was very beautiful, was that this is actually one discussion between a disciple of Srila Prabhupada and between Srila Prabhupada. So the topic was the heading is how to control our uncontrollable desires. So a disciple once asked Srila Prabhupada, they said, Prabhupada, in our youth, we find that we are being tossed up and down by material desires. Now, why I wrote this, it is mentioned in our youth, but whether youth or old age or middle age, everyone is tossed up and down by material desires. So I thought I'll just add this here. So the disciple further asks Prabhupada, it's like being in the midst of an ocean. How should we control ourselves? The disciple is asking that we are tossed up and down by material desires. It's like being in the midst of an ocean. How should we control our desires, control ourselves? Prabhupada replies very beautifully. Prabhupada says, human body is like a boat. Bhava Sindhu Plavadrushta. The boat is given and you are in the ocean. Okay, so till this point it is very clear. The human body is like a boat and we are in the we are in the ocean. Prabhupada writes, replies, do not think the nature of ocean is going to change. The ocean will remain the same. What can change? The boatman's expertise may change. So beautiful, Prabhupada response to that disciple. So Prabhupada further says, so initially a boatman is not an expert. He is immature and unable to control the boat. The boat rocks to and fro and is thrown around inside the boat due to lack of control. That is precisely our condition now. Because of the influence of the waves of desires, we are thrown about, tossed around, and feel nauseous. If we become expert boatmen, we will be able to maneuver this boat to smoothly ply through the turbulent tempest waters of this material existence and reach the cool, serene shores of the spiritual sky. That is how we shall overcome death. So beautiful. And and lastly, this is something from class given by His Grace Chaitanya. I end with this class given by His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. He's saying a resounding yes to Krishna is the most effective way of saying a decisive no to parasitic material desires. Prabhuji is mentioning that saying a resounding yes to Krishna is the most effective way of saying a decisive no to the parasitic material desires. And then he also gives a comparative analysis of parasites, how material desires are like parasites in four ways. I'll quickly just summarize those. First one, Prabhu writes, just as a mild parasitic infection drains us physically, a mild infection by material desires drains us mentally. Okay, so mild parasitic infection against mild infection by material desires drains us mentally. Now, the second level, a severe parasitic infection causes us acute bodily suffering. When the parasite is infection is more, the body also kind of trembles, shivers, and is in pain. Similarly, a severe infection by material desires causes us the acute mental suffering of frustration. So that's next level, next severe level. The third level, just as we see parasites as potential threats for the body, we need to see material desires as parasites for our minds. So this is the perspective or outlook we should have. That we should look at the material desires as parasites for our minds, which will eat our mind. Yeah? And the fourth point, Prabhuji mentions, just as we would take an authentic and systematic medical treatment to disinfect ourselves of parasites. We obviously, when we have a parasitic infection, we go to the doctor. We go to the doctor only when there is a problem, right? So whenever there is a our body is disinfected, infected by the parasites, what we should do is we need to take the authentic and systematic spiritual treatment of Krishna consciousness to disinfect ourselves of material desires. So we have to act upon that. First, we know what would happen, mild ways and severe ways. Then we know at the third point that we have to look at the material desires as parasites. Then obviously when we have to act when we are infected by such parasites, and what is the treatment? Spiritual treatment is the only way out and of Krishna consciousness to disinfect ourselves of material desires. Then Prabhuji writes last, when we realize material desires to be parasitic and strive to free ourselves from them, then we will stop them from dissipating our mental energy. Only when we put our efforts, then only they will stop dissipating. We will surprise ourselves with our remarkably high mental energy and will be able to achieve much more both materially and spiritually. These are the benefits if we when we realize these are the material desires are like parasites. Materially, we will be able to fulfill our worldly responsibility with greater diligence and competence. More important, spiritually, we will be able to cultivate and experience spiritual happiness in this very life. At the end of our life, we will be able to return to Krishna for a life of eternal love and happiness. Which is a very beautiful summary that Prabhuji mentioned about how when we identify the material desires as parasites and ensure that we take some steps to, ensure a spiritual treatment when we take our we'll be able to achieve more both materially and spiritually. Materially, how we'll achieve? Not like more money will come or we'll hit a lottery or something, but materially, whatever we gain, we will be able to fulfill our worldly responsibilities with greater diligence and competence. That is the material benefit that we get. But most important, spiritually, we will be able to cultivate and experience spiritual happiness, so that at the end of our life, we will be able to return to Krishna, remember Krishna, and never forget Krishna for a life of eternal love and happiness. So that is so. Just to summarize, we saw the wonderful, glorious qualities of Lord Ananta, and those 8 qualities. There are many more, but I just touched upon 8. And then lastly, we saw about few points about desires. So first one was what are the benefits of chanting? How we can, you know, how chanting helps us to eliminate this material desires, because it awakens the natural spiritual desires. And second, we saw what Prabhupada is mentioning, how we can control our uncontrollable desires. And lastly, how we saw that how we can consider material desires as parasites, and we should know what are the issues when we are struck by that particular parasite, and what we should do, and what is the benefit of doing getting the spiritual treatment. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you so much for a wonderful, wonderful class. We covered so
Thanks.
many aspects of it. I'm not going to repeat it because you already summarized it, but few points which I really liked it so much in terms of you were talking about in terms of
Quality.
coming actually through the there is the Hari Anucharya to the Parampara, which is very, very important
Anucharya
because
Anuvarnana.
yeah, to the parampara is something which is very, very quite deep rooted in terms of how we see our acharyas. That's very important, and also in terms of the the endeavor to improve quality of service. I think because that's a very practical approach. In fact, this week I was listening to Prabhupada's one of the class, and so wonderfully he said that
Mm,
science means it has got two things. It has got the theory and practice.
mm.
So whatever we read, philosophy is the theory, but service is the practical part of it. So it is without that nothing happens. You'll see the purification because it's without it you can't call it a science, and that builds us close. So it's very important of endeavor to improve the quality of service, and also
That's
how
correct.
the chanting of Hare Krishna you put across. How the chanting of Hare Krishna it actually revives our true identity, and also in terms of our true desires come out, which here to transcend this material desires and everything. So wonderful point, and also in terms of the boatman, I really liked it very much. You can't change the condition. The condition is going to be the same. You become the expert. So you need to become the expert to maneuver it in the right direction. That was wonderful. And of course, towards the end, you talk of the parasites. I think that's a very, very strong statement of knowing where, knowing that the desires keep coming, but you know that it's not going to help you spiritually as a wonderful thing. Thank you so much, Prabhu. I will just open the lines so that for the other devotees to share their comments as well as ask any questions, if any. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna Prabhu,
Krishna,
Dandrat
Prabhu.
Pranam Prabhu. Thanks for the wonderful class. I liked, as a doctor, I like that parasite volume of parasites.
Can
When
relate
you
to
have
very.
an acute infection, the whole body is filled with infection. Viruses will be there, but parasites also will infest us. So how we'll suffer? The body suffers so much. Like that, you've given a nice analogy, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Chaitanya Charan Prabhu gave that one. Very nice. I like it.
Prabhu, in that example of that boatman, you said the boatman expertise will change. Actually, the boat, we are the boatman and the captain is the guru.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. I got
Yes.
confused.
Yes.
Okay. Prabhu, can you just repeat the qualities of Anantadeva if you don't mind, please? Little slowly, I
Yes.
can note down.
Yes, Mataji, for sure.
Yes.
I'll quickly get the top lines and the headings.
Yes.
So, first one is he controls anger.
Yes.
Second is he pleases his associates.
Yes, Prabhu.
The third one is meditating on there are 3 points in that. If you meditate on Lord Ananta, what are the benefits that he gives us? In that first one is it enters the core of our hearts. Second, removes the contamination of the three modes. And the third one in that point is it cuts the Hridaya Granthi, the knot of ignorance. Okay. And then the next quality which we spoke about is the glories of meditating on his name or chanting his name. In that, there are 5 points actually, Madhuri. And the
Yes,
benefit
Prabhu.
of hearing the glories of his name, just the name itself. It is said that even if a simple person chants, or if someone chants suddenly, or someone out of suffering, or in a joking mood, all of the gets purified. So a sinful person, one who chants suddenly, or out of suffering, or in a joking mood, all get purified. And the last point you mentioned, if someone hears from all these people, they also get free from all the sins. And then the next point was the Seva Bhav. So Anantadev, as one of his Seva, he forms a cozy bed for the Lord. And another point which was mentioned was he never tires glorifying unlimitedly the unlimited qualities of the Lord. He just keeps on. And last one, it's a mission. It's quality, but it's basically a mission. The Anantadev is responsible for the destruction. So we spoke about how again the anger aspect is that how he tolerates and how compassionate he is. Though he gets angry looking at how people are still not able to gain the benefit of the facility provided the Lord in this material world. So he's very tolerant and compassionate and kind towards us. Later.
Wonderful, wonderful class, Prabhu. Thank you so much for the nice class. Dandvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. Very practical and it is very useful to me, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
For me, especially, Prabhuji. It's not a little. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
You are my Pata Prataksha.
No, please don't tell that.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I think there was one doubt by Uttara Mataji yesterday with respect to the difference between Lord Sankarshana and Lord Sankarshana. So that is actually explained in the third verse of this chapter. So Lord Sankarshana, we know who is Lord Sankarshana. Lord Sankarshana refers to a Rudra who is emanating from the angry eyebrows of Lord Sankarshana. So it refers to Shiva from whom 12 Rudras emanate. So that's the meaning. Was clarified, but in case if the other devotees had any questions.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Hearing from Sankarshan, Priya Prabhu is very nice.
Yeah, very
Very
nice.
Yes, actually, great Madhav Sharan Prabhu actually clarified this. I spoke to him and he explained that. Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhu, one doubt, maybe I'm ignorant about this. Because I am ignorant only, because a Sankarshana also is expansion. He is also Balaramna Prabhu, and even Nityananda Prabhu. All of them are the same, right? Like when glorification of Sankarshana says, we can glorify also Nityananda Prabhu. Like anything, whatever we know, we can glorify. Ultimately, the result will be the same, right?
Same.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes. Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Our job is to glorify.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna
Prabhu.
Prabhu, one more clarification, Prabhu. Like
Yes.
Lakshmana, Balarama, they get very angry, no, Prabhu.
Mhm.
They're very famous for anger. And again, they control the anger also. As one of the
Yes.
qualifications of
Yes.
Anantadeva, he said, they control the anger also. And they're
Yeah.
also personification of anger, both.
It is mentioned that there are some words also mentioned in I think the sixth shloka, tamasi, in the first shloka itself, I think tamasi and especially this anger quality it is also mentioned. But yeah, for us, the most important aspect is they control it, that they tolerate us. That is anger is because of us only. That is what we should understand.
And one more point, Prabhuji, the anger that normal people get and they get is different. When our sense gratification is disturbed, we get angry. But Lord, out of His compassion and mercy on us,
Exactly.
that, like a father, when the child is not doing studying properly or is misbehaving, then the father or mother gets angry. So Lord Sankarshan's anger is equivalent to that. That's my understanding.
Yes, yes, yes. That's what it is. Anger is because of us. That anger is because of us.
And
Yes.
is it not also because, especially, if you take Lord, that is Lakshmana, he gets angry when his master, whom he's serving, is disturbed in any way. Every time the anger comes, is somebody disturbs Ram, or speaks something about him, or anything which he thinks as something which can impact.
That is also as a part of
Protection.
seva, basically.
Yeah, seva, exactly, protection. Anything which comes in the seva, yeah, including his brother Bharata, when he comes itself, he suspects him because it will cause some harm to Lord Ram. He couldn't tolerate it.
Yes, yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, nice discussion. I'll also ask one more question. They say because he was Lakshmana's younger brother, then later he wanted to become older brother. But again, in the older brother also, he was not satisfied. Then they say he was born in a different family.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
like Nityananda Prabhu.
Nityananda Prabhu.
How to explain about Sankarshana Prabhu?
How to Sankrishna means, Madhuri? Could you rephrase?
To overcome all these things, like he takes up different forms. Then he is born as Nityananda Prabhu. But maybe as a Nityananda Prabhu, he'll be satisfied. I've not come across anywhere that he is not satisfied as
Not sure, Madhuri. If anybody else would like to answer that, I am not getting the. Again, this is all Lord's pastime as we understand, but if there is any other answer somebody wants to share.
I think as Sankarshana, most of the things are fulfilled, all his qualities. Nice discussion we had, Prabhu.
Any other comments or questions? Because you're already on the time now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for bringing a churn to the discussions also. Very nice. It was a wonderful class. Thanks for your association as well. And thank you, everybody, for joining on Saturday morning, allowing your time to be spent on a churn on Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you so much. And we will have our regular Sunday morning program from the temple tomorrow. Please join us for that. So before we end the session, we'll end with the Vaishnava Pranam. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जाय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जाय। जगद्गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जाय। निताय गौर सीताराम प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you once again for your assistance. Thank you so much.